Right. So today we are going to look at a new topic called Massive Open Online Course or MOOCs, right? And I mean, so far in this course, we have looked at different types of technologies, right? I mean, in the first 2 weeks, we talked about the whole concept of core, as well as looking at learning theories. And with the 3 guest speakers, we cover some of the really trendy topics in the use of technology to learn language. We looked at AR and VR. We looked at corpus linguistic, and then we look at technology in pronunciation. So today we are going to move on to perhaps a more a bigger type of technology that is having an impact in how people learn language, not just as a learners, but as an institution as well. So let me share my screen. Cool. Okay, so today we are going to be looking at massive open online courses or MOOCs, right? MOOCs, and I think you might have heard of the word perhaps a few times in your life, but you may not have tried it yet, okay? Or some of you may have tried it, right? But so today we are going to really get to know what this type of technology is really about, and how we can make use of it to learn mainly English, but not necessarily just English, but also many other languages, as well as many other things in life as well. So I would like to start this whole, because I mean, from this week until perhaps the next 4 or 5 weeks, you're going to be with me on different topics, right? So I would like to get you to start thinking about the role of technology in education, right? In general, right? So now I have 2 pictures here. Can somebody tell me where it is?
In a hospital?
Yes, in a hospital, right? And this is just for you to be able to compare the differences, right? On the left-hand side was the picture in the hospital taken in 1960s, okay? Taken in 1960. On the right-hand side is the picture taken in 2020. So as you can see, there are a lot of changes have taken place, right? New technology, new equipment, new tools, and even, sometimes we don't need doctors anymore. They just let the machine do all the work and in treating and curing the patients, right? Now, when we looked at education, okay, on the left-hand side was taken from a classroom in 1960. The picture on the right-hand side was taken from a classroom in 2020, right before the pandemic hit us. So as you can see, right, the technology may have changed a little bit. Okay, we have black and white television on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side, we have, like PowerPoint slide, we have screen projectors and so on, right? So the technologies may have changed a little bit, but the setting of the classroom is still the same. Okay, the way that the teacher deliver the lesson, it's still pretty much the same. Okay, so the point is, and it's not just from me, right? It's something that people in education sphere seem to agree upon, is that I think education is very slow in adopting new technologies, okay, in the learning and teaching of all the subjects. Language education, like the teaching and learning of language in particular, is so much slower than many other fields of education. Okay? So they say, if you were to put a doctor, from 1960 and fast forward, okay, that particular doctor into the year 2020, that particular doctor wouldn't be able to function, okay, in the current setting of the hospital. However, if you were to put a teacher from 1960 into the classroom in 2020, they say, not me, they say that that particular teacher may take perhaps like a few hours to adjust, but then he or she would still be able to function as well in the classroom. That says a lot about how slow, okay, education is in terms of developing and adopting new technologies, right? And this is the ideas that perhaps I would not really instill that on you, but ask you to really think about, and perhaps in the next 4 weeks, when we finish all the topics, then we can really have a discussion as to whether this is still the case right now, or has education improved a lot in terms of adopting technologies, right? Okay, so the outline of the lecture today is, the first part will be lecture, will be mainly lecture, so you're going to listen to me talking, and I'm going to be talking mainly about definition of MOOC, the history of MOOCs, some elements of MOOCs. We will look at types of MOOCs as well. We will also be looking at potentials of how we can use MOOCs to learn a language. And as I mentioned, to learn a language, not necessarily just English, right? But to learn any languages. Right? And the final point in the lecture will be some challenges and concern about using MOOCs to learn languages, right? Because I mean, not all technology is suitable for language learning. It's something we have to admit, right? Not every piece of technology is built to help people learn language. And then that's something that there are some concerns about using MOOCs to learn language as well. And then in the second part, I have some activity for you. So you are going to explore the world of the MOOCs, and we will have some discussion on that. So as I mentioned, right, MOOCs stand for Massive Open Online Courses. Okay, massive open online courses. So here comes a really interesting question. So how massive is massive? Okay, how massive is massive? Okay, in terms of the number of students, right? So can you type in the number? Okay, the number, right? You think can be considered a massive number of students within a course? Okay, can you type that into the chat? So let's say if I want to say that, well, this is a massive number of students in a learning course, in a language course, right? How many students do you think can be considered massive? Just type in your answer in the chat. Millions, okay, that's definitely massive. Any other thoughts? Any other thoughts? How would you define massive here? Okay, now we go down from million to just thousands. Okay, 1,000. About thousands, right? Okay, roughly thousands. Okay. Any other thoughts? Uncountable. Okay. I mean, people are always count. Yeah, we can always count people, right? People, we can always count people, at least 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Okay. Right. So, I mean, I don't have a solid answer. I don't have a solid answer on this. However, I think there seems to be some sort of agreement, okay? At least when we talk about MOOCs, that when we talk about the word massive and in massive open online courses like MOOCs, we tend to talk about it that that may be perhaps 100,000 and plus students in the MOOC, right? So ประมาณหลักแสนใช่ไหมครับ No, there may be okay 100,000 plus students in a MOOC at the same time, okay, at the same time, right? However, it's not always the case, okay, because I think a lot of people would consider having perhaps a few hundred people, like 600, 700 students in the class, massive already. Okay, and so I would say for any online course to be considered as a massive open online course. Okay, well, so we leave the second O later, but for the massive, right? For the massive part, then I think it should be perhaps just from 500, okay, from 500 and above. So it can be from 500 to 100 million. Okay, that can be considered massive. The second element is open. Okay, so it's not just massive, right? It's also open. And open means it's open for anyone to learn it from anywhere in the world. Okay, anyone from anywhere can register for the course. Okay, anyone from anywhere for free. Okay, for free. That's the point as well. So you don't have to pay to register for MOOCs, right? You don't have to pay to study in a MOOC. So studying in a MOOC is free. However, if you want to get some sort of certificate at the end of the course, then you may have to pay, right? So learning in the MOOC is free. Getting accredited, okay, by the MOOC, that's not entirely free, right? So this is what I mean by open, right? So it's open for anyone to learn. I think the only requirements that you need to have if you want to register for a MOOC is you need a valid email address. And that's the only thing that you need, right? The third one is online. Okay, I mean, of course, the course has to be online. You have to study it through the net and so on, right? The last element is the course, right? So MOOCs are not just online resources putting together, right? It is online resources being, and I like this word, being curated into a really well-structured course. And so it's not just putting like 10 videos online and then students can just look at the videos by themselves. No, it's just having 10 videos, putting that into a well-structure, like students should watch this video first and then do exercises and watch the next video and exercises. And then they need to do some discussion and then go back and watch another videos and so on, right? So this is what I mean by course. Okay, so it's not just an online learning website where there are a lot of materials for you to choose from. This one, the materials are pedagogically and educationally curated, okay, into a course for you. Okay. So MOOCs would be quite similar to a course that you take at university, just like week 1 to week 15 or week 1 to week 10 in some courses. Okay. All right, so now I have a really short video from David Comrie. He was the first one he was practically almost perhaps the first person in the world, in the entire world, to really started describing and talking about MOOCs, right? He was not the first one to create who created the MOOCs, right? But he was the first one who actually wrote a really good article describing what MOOCs are and so on. And MOOCs are really new, right? If you talk about technology, okay? If we talk about technology, we talk about Google started in the year 2000, Facebook started in 2004, Twitter started in 2006. In Instagram started in perhaps 2010. Okay? MOOCs, the first MOOC only came into the world in 2008. So it's still a really new technology. Okay? And so we are going to watch this clip together, and then we will come back and I will talk more about what MOOCs actually are. Right?
The massive open online course is a response to the challenge.
Just give me a minute. I need this to be loud.
The massive open online course is a response to the challenges faced by organizations and distributed disciplines in a time of information overload. It used to be that when you wanted to know about something, you could do a few things. You could ask someone, you could buy a book, you could try to figure it out for yourself, or you could call a school. If that school offered the course and the thing you were trying to figure out, you could go there and take it. You could get access to information about a topic. An instructor had combed through journals and books to pull the information together from a library. You might even find others who are also interested in the same things that you are. The MOOC is built for a world where information is everywhere, where a social network obsessed with the same thing that you are is a click away, a digital world. A world where an internet connection gives you access to a staggering amount of information. This video will introduce you to how a massive open online course is one way of learning in a networked world. A MOOC is a course, it's open, it's participatory, it's distributed, and it supports lifelong networked learning. In one sense, a massive open online course is just that. It's a course. It has facilitators and course materials, it has a start and an end date, it has participants. But a MOOC is not a school. It's not just an online course. It's a way to connect and collaborate while developing digital skills. It's a way of engaging in the learning process that engages what it means to be a student. It is, maybe most importantly, an event around which people who care about a topic can get together and work and talk about it in a structured way. The course is open. All of the work gets done in areas accessible for people to read and reflect and comment on. The course is open in the sense that you can go ahead and take the course without paying for it. You might pay to get the credit through an institution, but you're not paying for participating in the course. It's also open in the sense that the work done in the course is shared between all the people taking it. The material put together by the facilitators, the work done by the participants, it's all negotiated in the open. You get to keep your work and everybody else gets to learn from it. The course is participatory. You really become part of the course by engaging with other people's work. Participants are not asked to complete specific assignments, but rather to engage with the material with each other and with other material they may find on the web. You make connections between ideas and between you and other people. You network. One of the outcomes that people get from the course are the network connections they've built up through engaging with each other. The course is distributed. And all these blog posts and discussion posts, video responses, articles, tweets, and tags all knit together to create a networked course. They're mostly not found in one central location, but rather all over the internet in different pockets and clusters. There's no right way to do the course, no single path from the first week to the last. This allows for new ideas to develop and for different points of views to coexist. It also means that one of the side effects of a MOOC is the building of a distributed knowledge base on the net. The course is a step on the road to lifelong learning. MOOCs promote independence among learners. It encourages participants to work in their own spaces and to create authentic networks that they can easily maintain after the course finishes. A MOOC can promote the kind of network creation that lifelong learning is all about. The course part is just the beginning. And how can you go about finding one of these? Well, news that a MOOC will be offered usually spreads on online networks. People who have reputations for interesting skills or innovative thinking on a topic decide to collaborate by offering an open online course covering that topic. Anyone who wants to join in can. In a MOOC, you can choose what you do, how you participate, and only you can tell in the end if you've been successful, just like real life.
All right. So as you can see, right? As you can see, MOOC is just David Comrie, they describe MOOC as an event, right? So it's not just a course, but it was an event. And I think that thinking was based on the fact that the first MOOCs that was introduced in 2008 was like they was gather people who share the same passions about learning, okay, all together into just one learning space. And then they would just learn it in a very different way. Just they have a really open and loose assignment for people to do, and they can just do it in their own way, do it with their own materials, and then they come back and then they share that together in the common space, which was the website, which I will show you later today as well. Okay, so that's how MOOC started, right? It started as a very open and semi-structured course and event. So it had some structure, but it's not a forced structure that everybody has to follow. It's not like you're taking this course with me and you have to study from week 1 to week 10. Okay, it's more like there are 10 topics for you. Okay, you can choose which topic you like to do, and then you study that in your own time, in your own way, and you come back and you discuss with people, right? So that's mean it's open, not only in terms of anyone, but it's also open in terms of how you can learn and how you can approach learning as well. Okay. Okay. So there are some interesting. So earlier today we talked about, okay, so how massive is massive, right? How big is big, really? MOOCs can consider very important movement in education and also in distance education, right? Although I'm not a big fan of using the word distant to describe online learning, because when we talk about distant learning had a much longer history. It started back in like 1970, 1940s when people started learning by post. Like they get books sent to them, and then they read books, and then they write assignment and they send it back. That's distant learning. So we're talking about the distance between the location of the institution and the location of the student. However, when we talk about online learning, we are talking about something that needs to be connected to internet or CPU and so on, right? But I take that for now. So MOOCs are important movement in distance education. Why? Because if you look at the numbers here, okay, if you look at the numbers here, this number was taken from 2021, just last year. So when they had over 220 million students who enroll in MOOCs all over the world, right? And MOOCs are offered through 950 universities. So that's a lot, right? So in the entire world, we perhaps have about, I don't know, 4,000 or 5,000 universities. 950 of them have MOOCs of their own. Silapakon also has their own MOOCs. Okay? Not sure if you know it. There are almost 20,000 courses. Okay. And 167, it's something we call micro credentials. Okay. So micro credentials mean you can gradually study. Like you can study one subject, okay, this semester, one subject next semester, one subject next semester. You study bits by bits, and perhaps at the end of like 5 or 6 years, you can just combine them together and you can get a degree from it, right? And then there are 70 MOOC-based degrees now. So like you can do bachelor degree through the MOOCs only. I mean, a lot of the university in the US now, they are offering some degrees through the MOOC platform, right? But I mean, you still have to do exam, you still have to write assignment and stuff, but you don't have to come and see teacher because all the lecture is recorded and put online in the MOOC. So you study with the video lecture, but then you come back and then you study by yourself, you write assignment and you submit, right? And just to look at the note at the bottom, right? To look at the note at the bottom, right? This number do not include statistics from China. And as you may know, if you include China, then the number may like double. Like we may have like 400 million students. So I mean, China is a different world that we don't really know what's going. We sort of know what's going on, but we don't really know it's so big. We were talking about 1.5 billion people in that. Okay. Okay, so here are some of the popular MOOC platforms. I think in the US is Coursera and edX. Coursera and edX. We also have Udacity. Okay, those are the 3 popular platforms from the US. In the UK, we have Future Learn. Okay, that's also popular. In Spain, we have Myriada X. Yeah, I'm not sure if I pronounce it correctly. Myriada X, okay, for the MOOC platform in Spain. We have Mexico X, okay. So those are some of the main platforms, right? And in each country, they also have their own MOOCs platform. Like in Japan, we have JMOOCs. In Korea, we have KMOOC, right? In Thailand, we also have Thai MOOC as well. And there are a lot of interesting courses, okay, on Thai MOOC, which we will explore today. Okay, so the history of MOOCs. Okay, so the history of MOOCs. So MOOCs were first introduced to the wider public. I mean, it went public in 2008 when 2 very interesting people, okay, 2 very forward-thinking educators, I would say, Stephen Dow and George Siemens, okay? And they were based in Canada, and they created a course called Connectivism and Connective Knowledge, right? So it was course about, how learning is network and things like that. So, okay, so this is what the first MOOCs look like, okay? So it actually came out in 2008, but I think this one was the most updated version, is in 2011. Okay, so in the MOOCs, right, you would just they would just tell you about the course and course outline, like homepage and so on, right? So I'm not going to go into details, okay? But as you can see now, right, it has a really perhaps a loose structure of content, right? They have like from week 1 what they are going to cover, week 2, week 3, all the way to week 12. So the first MOOC, okay, if you were to participate in the first MOOC, in this MOOC, right, you would be expected to participate in this MOOC for 12 weeks, so like 3 months. So, you know, so it's not a really short course. It's not just something that you can do within 3 days, okay? It's something that takes some time to finish, okay? All right, I'm going to share this with you as well, just so you may want to have a look. Okay, you might want to click and have a look around. So, I mean, just to go back to the history, MOOC went public in 2008, and then it took a really slow start, and it became really popular in 2011. Okay, and it really entered into a global conversation. Okay, when they had more than 160,000 students from around the world who enroll in a free course called Introduction to AI offered by Stanford University. Okay, so imagine you have 160,000 students studying in the course at the same time. You know, that's a phenomenon that was happening back in the day. Okay, so I think, you know, one element that we need to know now is that, yeah, we are really talking about a big number of students, right? We're talking about a lot of students here. Okay, then the year 2012, 10 years ago, right? The year 2012 was actually called the year of the MOOC by New York Times. Okay, so that year, because I mean there was a sudden explosion of the number of MOOCs. Because I think a lot of people started creating MOOCs, like many universities started creating MOOCs and so on. And then, you know, it sort of faded away. It sort of faded away and then sort of remain at the same level for a few years. It came back in 2020, okay, and then the year 2020 again was called the second year of the MOOC, right? So 2012 was the year of the MOOC, so supposedly it's the first year of the MOOC, and then 2020 was called the second year of the MOOC because, as you know, 2020 is when COVID-19 happened. And then there was a sudden move to online learning and online teaching, right? So universities started producing a lot of MOOCs, okay, in 2020. They had a lot of students who started enrolling in MOOC courses in 2020. And then there was again another sudden explosion in the number of courses as well as the number of students who enroll in the MOOCs, okay? Okay, so up until this point, I think you should perhaps get some ideas of what MOOCs are, right? And then the history of MOOCs, just where it came from and where it is right now, okay? Okay. MOOCs and learning theory, just to refer back to the learning theories that we talked about perhaps in the first or second week of the class, right? There was a learning theory called connectivism, right? So, I mean, you might have forgotten about it, but it's just like, you know, connectivism is influenced by technology, and it focuses on learners' ability to frequently source and update information. So it's not about giving you the knowledge, right? So it's about giving you some assignment, some things to do, and you go and you gather all information and resources by yourself, okay, and you come back, okay, and you share that with your with your peers or with your fellow students. Okay, and it actually focuses on how you yourself as a learner actually go out and make connection between different resources and making connection with different people. Okay, so if you go back to this, the first MOOC was called connectivism and connective knowledge, right? And that's what it is. It's MOOC was actually the result of this learning theory. Okay, this learning theory was created, and then MOOC was the first technology that was created to support this learning theory. Okay, so this is something really important, and it's something really recent, because I mean, if you study linguistics, if you study any other topics, right, like literature, we are talking about something really old, like Noam Chomsky, we're talking about 1950, and a lot of linguists that have influence on us today. We're talking about the year 1960, 1970s, or even earlier. With this one, it's a really recent thinking, just because connectivism started in 2004, MOOC came out in 2008, right? So, it's still something really new and so much related to technology and the way that we live nowadays. All right, now we talk about MOOCs in general. Now I'm going to narrow it down a little bit to just something we call language MOOCs, okay? Language MOOC or LMOOCs, right? So LMOOC is a dedicated web-based online courses for second languages with unrestricted access, so anybody can access, and potentially unlimited participation. So you can participate as much as you like. Okay, so basically it's an open course for people, for anyone to come and learn second languages. Okay, we're not talking about learning first language, because that's cannot be done through a MOOC. Okay, because I mean, you learn your first language, you have to do it through school or with your parents at home and so on. We're talking about mainly second languages, right? And they use the word languages here because it's not just English. There are so many other languages that are available, okay, for people to learn in the MOOC, right? So we have Japanese, we have Arabic, Spanish, Thai as well. I think we have Thai on MOOC as well, and so many other languages, right? However, the MOOC educational model has been criticized for being problematic for language learning. And we will talk about that later today, why MOOCs are problematic for language learning. Okay, to this point, do you have any questions? เดินทางมาถึงตรงนี้มีใครแบบงงตรงไหนไหมครับถ้างงตรงไหนที่จะได้แบบอธิบายซ้ำก่อนที่เราจะไปในพาร์ทถัดไปถ้ามีถามได้เลยนะครับหรือแบบตรงไหนที่มันอาจจะยังไม่เคลียร์เท่าไหร่อะไรเงี้ย ไม่มีเนาะงั้นwe will continue right now. Okay, so now we will look at the different. So in the first part that I talked about MOOCs, I think we talked about it more from a, how shall I put it, from a conceptual level. Okay, what MOOCs are, how massive is massive, how open is open. It has to be online, it has to have some structure. Now we are going to look at the elements of MOOCs, and I think this picture best summarizes, okay, the different elements of MOOCs that we have. Well, for anything to be considered a MOOC, okay, first of course it has to be massive, right? It has to have a lot of students, like we have from 100 to 100,000. Okay. The second, it has to be open. Okay, open means it open for anyone to register. Okay. It is open in terms of content, and by saying open content, it doesn't mean that you can put any content in the MOOC, but it means that the content that you study in the MOOCs can be recycled and can be reused with your own objective, right? You can take it out of the MOOC and then use it in your own way. It has to be free of charge. It has to be free of charge. Registering in the MOOC has to be free, okay? And it should be affordable. I mean, although you need to pay to get credit, right? Then it has to be at an affordable price. I think most of the MOOCs in the US, if you want to get certificate, right, that should perhaps cost you about like $50 maximum. So $50 would be like 1,500 baht. Okay? It has to be online. Okay? It has to be online, and there are some real-time interaction as well. So it's not just you go log into the course and you just watch video, complete exercise by yourself. That's only one part of the MOOC, right? What you also need to do is you also need to answer questions in discussion forum. Some MOOCs, they have a live session every week where you have to attend and you have to discuss with other people about what you learn and things like that. Local cohorts, really. Some people take the MOOCs not just with anyone else in the world, but they are taking the MOOC with people in the same school, in the same university, in the same company, right? Next one is course. Okay, the course MOOCs can have there are two types of MOOCs, right? The first MOOC is self-paced. So self-paced means you can start anytime, finish anytime, right? So you study at your own speed. The second type of the MOOC is it have the fixed start and end dates, right? So you have to start on this day and you have to finish on this day. Okay. And some MOOCs offer college credits, right? So I mean, in some degrees in the US now, they allow you to take MOOC for some subjects, okay, and then count that toward graduation credits, right? You also get badges. Okay, like, when you finish different things, right? When you finish different parts of the MOOC, you also get some badges, right, to show that, okay, I finished this, I finished this, I finished this. The role of the teacher. So you may imagine that like MOOCs will be very much self-study, right? Just, you study with videos and things like that. But in fact, it's not. I think a lot of MOOCs instructors, they also get involved in the learning process. They ask questions, they come in and do discussion with you and things like that. Learning community. So you are not studying alone in the MOOC, right? When you're studying in the MOOC, you are studying with other people from different parts of the world. Okay, so you try to create sort of a learning community with them. Okay? And because I mean, sometimes MOOC require you to have group work and things like that. Okay, so you also engage in discussion and post in discussion forums with them. And the last one is scripted assignment and feedback. Okay, so it's not just like you study and you submit the work and that's it. No, you also get feedback from your teacher, okay, regarding how you learn and how well you did in the assignment and so on. Okay, so these are the elements of the MOOC, right? So at the conceptual level, it's just a big course with a large number of students. It's open, it's online. But then when you look at different elements, there are so many aspects, okay, that you will experience if you take the MOOCs. Okay. All right. Okay. So the next thing that I would like to talk about is the different types of MOOCs. Okay. I would say in general, there are mainly two types of MOOCs. Okay. The first types of MOOC is what we call, so basically there are two types of MOOC, X MOOC and C MOOCs, right? No, I did it wrong here. So it should be fix it now. So there are two types of MOOCs here, X MOOC and C MOOCs, right? So the X MOOC stand for extended MOOCs, okay, focus on the transmission of knowledge and are based on cognitive behaviorist pedagogy, and is based on a teacher-centric approach. Okay, so it's basically just the course that would be a replica, or it's a course replicating the regular face-to-face classes that you can have in the university, right? So basically, you would have just 10 weeks of studying. Week 1, you watch this lecture, complete this assignment. Week 2, you watch this lecture, complete assignment. Week 3, you watch this lecture, complete assignment, and it goes on and on and on and on, right? So it's not really focusing on what you do as a learner, right? It's focusing on the content that is delivered by the teacher in the video clip. Okay, so this is the X MOOC, and X MOOC are most popular types of MOOCs in the world. Okay, so I think I would say 90% of the MOOCs that are available in any platforms right now follow the X MOOCs model. The second type is called C MOOC or connectivist MOOCs, and as you may know, okay, it was based on connectivism learning theory. And then it takes a connectivist approach and adopt a more learner-centered pedagogy, okay, where students are encouraged to learn from one another, right? So you're giving more like a project or a task to work on with your peers, and then you are trying to connect that with, you're trying to draw from different resources, and then you put them together. Okay, and then you work together as a group and you share knowledge and things like that. C MOOCs are not popular, okay? And one of the reasons is it requires learner to be highly self-directed. So you need to be able to learn by yourself without teacher forcing you to learn. And that's not easy. It's not for everyone, right? I mean, somebody can do it. Most of us cannot, right? Me, myself, I cannot just learn by myself without having some structure, or without having teacher not telling me what to do, but at least giving me deadlines and things like that to work on, right? So as you know now, there are two types of MOOC that we looked at. Okay, the X MOOC, which is more like a classroom, a course that you can face in university, and a C MOOC, which is more like open and flexible in terms of how you learn. Okay. And with the C MOOC, it's basically about creating personal learning environment, or PLE. So it would allows you to make connection between, like you are given a task to finish. Okay, let's say you're given one task to finish. What you need to do is you need to use different resources that you have in your repertoire. I mean, in your environment to connect, okay, different types of knowledge all together in order to finish the task, or in order to achieve what you are asked to do, right? And then, you know, with PLE, it can be like using social media platforms. It can be using games. It can be using blogs. It can be, you know, using different tools that you have and put them all together to achieve something. This is part of the connectivism movement as well. Just, you know, with this, just you are trying to connect different resources that you have. All right. Okay. Now, so there are a few more points that I would like to cover before we move on into activity. First is language. So now, what are the potential of MOOCs in language learning? Okay, just we all know that MOOCs are interesting concept. We all know that MOOCs are great technology and it's free. So, and that's the first thing, right? Learning languages in MOOCs is open and it's free. Okay, so you don't have to pay to learn, right? So it's democratizing education. That's a word that I think people are trying to say, just to make education more accessible to people, right? And the second thing, I think we are talking about countries where access to the use of English is limited. Okay, so access to knowledge and learning opportunities in many parts of the world, okay, including EFL context, like Thailand. Thailand is an EFL context, right? So EFL, English as a foreign language. Okay, so that means that we learn English as a subject. We don't use it in our own life. Okay, so I mean, we have the country that use English as a first language. Okay, those countries include like England, the US, Australia, Canada, and so on. We also have countries that use English as a second language. Okay, so they don't study it as a subject, but they use it perhaps in school, in real world communication, like Scandinavian countries where, or Singapore, I think it's a prime example, just the Philippines as well, just, from, I think everything in the education system is conducted in English. Whereas in Thailand, we would say it's in EFL context, where we don't really use English to communicate, but we study English as a subject, right? So MOOC can be beneficial, okay, for people living in that context, because it can give them more exposure to the target language, right? And the last potential is it can help you connect with people from different parts of the world. And that's I think, and research has shown that connecting with the people from different parts of the world, it's a really useful and powerful way to learn a language, right? So, and MOOCs can give you that, because if you enroll in a MOOCs, then you are with 100,000 students from different parts of the world, and basically in many ways you are forced to use English to communicate with them, and that's basically what it is. Okay. Also, it can use as a self-study or a remedial tool. Yeah, just the word remedial means just to help you to. So I mean, let's say if you study in one subject, right, and you don't understand what the teachers are saying, okay, like the subject perhaps you don't understand what the teachers are saying. So what you need to do is you ask the teacher, and he or she explain it to you and still not so clear. So you go out and you find a MOOC that perhaps have the same concept, and you also study in the MOOC. Just perhaps it would help you understand better. MOOCs can also help develop lifelong learning skills, right? So because it requires you to study by yourself, so it allows you to continue learning, right? And then the numbers, just, if you look at the number of 220 million students that I talked about earlier today, I think most of them are professionals. Most of them are people over 40s, who keep learning new things, right? However, one thing that we need to know is that MOOCs are not really suitable for every language skill. In my opinion, I think MOOCs are very useful for developing something we call receptive skill, right? Which are listening and reading. because you can just listen and read and do exercises and things like that. So MOOCs can be very useful for that. However, there are some challenges and concerns as well. It's not easy to make people interact with one another in the MOOCs because they are normally in different time zone. They are not in different time zone, and they have to wait, okay, for a long time to get a response and so on, right? And I agree. And in the second point, and this is the point that I agree with, is more suited to knowledge transmission than skill development. Okay. Basically, I think MOOCs would be a perfect place to study a content-based subject. Whereas with the skill development, with a skill-based subject, I think it's quite difficult to do it in the MOOCs. So I mean, just to put that into context for you, let's say if you want to study linguistics, okay, linguistics is a content-based subject, right? And then when you put that in the MOOC, that's okay, because you can just watch video lecture from a lecturer, and you can perhaps do some quiz to test your understanding. But let's say if we have to do a course like public speaking, presentation in the MOOCs, that would be quite difficult, right? Because you need to interact with people. You need to get like instant feedback from teachers and so on. The third one is learners are often extremely, and I always have trouble pronouncing this word, heterogeneous. Heterogeneous. Yeah, so it means that people are really different. Okay, people are very different. They have different learning style. They have different requirements. They have different free time. They have different language skill. They have different levels of language when they enroll in a course. So it may make it quite difficult to cater to. And then it's not easy to get feedback. I mean, it's okay to get feedback from AI, just to get to know if you do it correctly or not. But let's say if you're studying writing, you submit written work, and you need to get a detailed feedback from your teacher. That's not going to happen in the MOOCs context. Right? So to conclude, I would say MOOCs are suitable for receptive skill. So to conclude, MOOCs are suitable for receptive skill like listening and reading, but they may not be suitable for productive skill like speaking and writing, because you basically need practice, and you basically need feedback, okay, from the teacher or lecturer and so on, right? Okay, right. So now I think I have covered all the necessary content that you need to know. Okay, cover all the necessary content that you need to know. Now in the next part, I will move on to the activity. Okay. Activities. So what I would like you to do, okay, so this is going to be a group work. So you would form a group of 4 to 5 people. Okay, I can assign you in the breakout room, right? You'll be in a group of 4 to 5 people. You would go to any of the MOOCs platform available, right? You can do Coursera, you can do edX, you can do Future Learn, you can do Thai MOOC as well. Yeah, there are a lot of interesting courses there, or any other platform that you like. I would like you to choose one language course and enroll. Right? One language course in any MOOCs, right? One language course. It can be English, and I would prefer it to be English. but then it can be any other languages that you are interested in as well. Look at the course structure and perhaps try studying for 1 or 2 units. Okay, just one is actually enough that you like. Okay, now after you've done that, what I would like you to do is to reflect on your experience of engaging with the MOOCs, right? So first you need to think about, okay, what I like about this MOOC and what I don't like about it. Okay. Then you need to look at think about it, well, whether this type of MOOC that I am studying, is it an X MOOC or a C MOOC, right? And the third question is just to think about MOOCs in general, and perhaps at a conceptual level, in what ways can you use MOOC to learn language? Okay, and this is the point that you can discuss with your friends. Just, how can we use MOOC to learn language, right? To learn. I mean, if you are already good at English, perhaps you can think about a new language that you would like to learn. And how can I use MOOC to learn the language, right? And then you will do mini presentation. So it's going to be just a really short one, just to, you show us what MOOCs, you chose, okay? The MOOCs that you choose, you show us what the course structure looked like, what unit did you choose to study, and then what you like, what you don't like, and then just to summarize the presentation with, how you can use MOOCs to learn language, right? Okay, is that clear? Okay. All right, so I put you in breakout rooms, right? We also take a short break now as well, and I combine the break with the exploring the MOOC session, right? So now it's 10:42. Okay, so I was planning to give you about 20 minutes, okay, to do this. So I put you in the breakout rooms for 20 minutes, and then you can take a short break and then come back and explore the MOOCs and things like that, and also discuss with your group members, and then come back and you are going to do a mini presentation. Okay. All right, so I put you in the breakout room now. I think we will get a full. Okay. Right, so we will have 4 groups. We will have 4 groups. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay, so let's do it. And then when we come back, then I would love to hear from you.